Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. What do you call a dinosaur that knows lots of words? A thesaurus. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. It's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. Was that a good joke or what?
That was awesome. Thesaurus.
Thesaurus.
Hey, you know what? I married my wife for her looks, but not the ones she's been giving me lately.
Wah, wah. Oh, what do you call a dog in a submarine?
I don't know.
A subwoofer.
Subwoofer. Yep. I like it.
All right, let's
not make a habit of this, right?
Okay, let's get this thing back on the rails here.
Before I get into some like dirty jokes, and
okay.
I'm not gonna do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so
welcome back.
Thank you for joining us again. If you haven't, please take a minute, subscribe. It'll make sure that you're up to date with everything that we're doing, because we're not just doing bad jokes, but we actually have good content that we're putting out several times a week, and you won't miss out on anything if you take a minute and subscribe. That helps us out, and like the video. If we're going to talk today about 5 reasons people are leaving Victoria. But if you have some that we don't cover, you have some that you think, well, what about this or what about that? Put it in the comments, because we want to see what what your thoughts are on it too, right?
And of course, if you're watching and you're thinking about buying real estate in Victoria or selling real estate or moving here, please contact us. We'd be happy to help you with that process. And let's jump into it. 5 reasons. Why are people leaving Victoria?
Okay. I'm going to start with, and one of my clients specifically mentioned this to me, is they felt like people were nice but superficial in trying to connect, and they had a hard time building after a while, but up front they had a hard time in the first couple of years to what they would have said were more quality relationships, friendships.
That's interesting, because to add to that, I would say it's hard to make friends in Victoria. People are mostly polite.
Yes.
Like, welcome to Canada, polite. We'll help you across the street with your groceries.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help our neighbors.
Right.
But it's taken a long time for us to actually be friends with our neighbors.
Right.
If they stick around long enough, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting way. So where would they go to find?
Well, so they would consider going back where they came from. So they came from Alberta, and they'd been in the city they were in for a long time. So they had lots of both business relationships and personal relationships and family relationships. So when they come here and they're having more of a challenge to build those, just even friendships, like you said, right? So their thing was, that was one of their considerations for going back, was just the feeling.
There's more
feeling overly isolated. How's that? Even though you're around a whole bunch of people, but they still felt isolated.
Now, I've been here over 20 years. I can't remember exactly. And I would say at the beginning, work friendships, you have a tight-knit circle once you get your employment figured out.
Yeah.
You sort of become friends. That's probably the easiest place.
Yeah.
Becoming a parent.
Yeah.
With the kids going to school,
Yeah.
Starting to be associated with other parents, a little bit more play dates, you get to know other parents. So, but it took time for all of that to sort of happen.
Yeah.
When I first came here,
for sure,
I was in the Navy. So the Navy, I don't know.
You're in, you're out, you're in, you're out too, right?
Right. So a lot of your friends are just military friends. And then when you come to a community, it didn't seem to always connect outside of the base.
Yeah.
For friendships, it did, but it just didn't seem to come as freely as other places.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pretty social guy. I'll say hi to anybody, talk about anything. So
sure.
That's a good point. All right.
Okay.
I'll follow. We'll do the I'll go from this one from experience, from stories that people tell me. A lot of young people will leave Victoria to look for work.
Yeah.
Now it's funny, when coming to Victoria, it's one of those places where it's a who you know, not what you know kind of town.
Right.
You need a lot of connections to get the job that you want, basically.
Sure.
Right. My wife got a really good government job not right out of college, but pretty close. But it was from somebody else who was in the same college program. And I was like, oh yeah, no, we're all done interviews already. Wait a minute, you know this person, and there was some leniency there
Right.
to like,
Sure.
it's who you know kind of town.
Yeah.
So, but people will move away either for education, if like let's say UVic doesn't offer the programs
Yeah.
that you want, they don't offer everything.
Sure.
And then I think it's hard to get started in Victoria for young people, so they leave for jobs. Ooh,
Okay.
So out of British Columbia, there's more young people leaving. There's still a positive net migration. There's still more people coming to BC than leaving. It's the young people leaving to Alberta for work.
For work. Yeah.
That's what the demographic says for BC. So I'm
Right.
just going to include Victoria in that too, because
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's number 2.
Number 2. Number 3, the weather.
The weather.
As much as we talk about how beautiful the weather is here and how much we love the weather and the winters, some people they don't have a good time with rain for days and days. Even though we're not Vancouver, where I remember one stretch Vancouver had 60 days straight of rain.
Yeah.
We're not Vancouver because of where we sit in the airflow and
What's that,
everything else.
rain shadow?
Yeah,
Whatever.
Mount Washington does something for us so that we don't get as much rain, and we get considerably less rain than Vancouver. However, it's still an adjustment where you're basically going to be damp
And dark.
and dark
Yeah. For most of the year.
for at least most of the
Most of the year.
as soon as daylight savings,
Yeah.
which hopefully will be done soon.
For as much as people like the weather, that it's mild, there's a certain aspect of people. What is it? You can get like not depression, but like gloomy,
Yeah.
sort of like down feeling,
Yeah.
because it's like dark for so many days.
Yeah.
We don't get our sunshine, vitamin D,
Yeah,
that kind of thing,
and,
right?
And the other side to go with that, with the rain and the more the cloudy environment and everything, is because of the fact that we are on an island and it's also a bunch of hills on the island. We don't have a whole lot of sky unless you get to the horizon. Unless you get to the coastline.
Right. Our
Right.
scope is like smaller to see
Right.
the sky.
So you don't have
Okay.
as much sky. But if you go to the beach, you're going to have
It opens up.
all the end to end, but that's not always the case, right? If you're let's pick something. If you're living in if you're living even up in Mill Bay, which is a beautiful area, but you're not going to get a great view unless you go down a little bit on the one side, right?
Right. And then you have the morning sun on that side.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
but then you're in the dark.
Yeah.
Like after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. 5 o'clock.
Yeah, as soon as you get like the sun's over the trees,
Yeah.
you get the shadow on your
Right.
house or wherever you are,
Sure.
and then there's the mountain behind you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was one for sure.
So that's number 3.
Number 3. So we have
so
what do we do? Number 1 is difficulty with relationships,
Friendships,
growing
yeah.
friendships. Number 2,
go away for opportunities.
opportunities. Number 3 is the weather.
Cost. Number 4.
Number 4, cost.
Cost of living. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy unless you have either a lot of equity, good paying job, or you have some sort of like cooperative, like somebody's going to help you out. Either you can live with a family member to like until you get up on your feet,
Yeah.
or someone else to sort of like cohabitate. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult out here.
Well, let me give you an example. They ended up not working with me, and this is why. So he was a lawyer, worked for the government, and they had 3 kids, and and he said we had started the process. Then he said we're moving to somewhere on the mainland. I forget now, but we're moving somewhere on the mainland to the interior. He said because with my job and what I do, we should have no problem buying a home.
Okay.
But we looked at what they could afford and what that home would look like. And he said, it makes no sense for me to do that here when I can go practice law wherever else they went to and afford a better home and a better lifestyle with it and not be under pressure to
financially as much.
yeah.
Yeah, you certainly need in the above average homes, you need some equity to come in, and a lot of the sales are happening with tons of equity.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't experienced anybody coming in with like a minimum down payment on $1 million home, $1 million home, and anything. People are coming in with a $600,000 home. They're coming in with like half the equity. It's not their first property. They started somewhere else on the property ladder.
Sure.
Okay, I don't want to go on to that.
Okay.
But
cost of living. Sure.
I'm seeing even what is it, the Globe and Mail or something like that was their curated news article from, was it that Global Citizen, whatever it was. Victoria has been voted #1 livable city in Canada. So I'll put it this way: if it's the best city to live in, like, it's going to be very difficult for it to be affordable. How about that? Because if it's the best, it's going to have a higher demand to purchase that product, to buy into that lifestyle.
Sure.
And the truth is, it's expensive to have that lifestyle. That's it, right? Yeah. So if somebody moved to somewhere in the interior of BC, well, they gave up possibly the weather. I don't know about the amenities that might be out there. There's ski hills and other things to do, right?
Yeah.
And that's totally good too.
Yeah, and they weighed
the houses are cheaper because there's less demand.
Right, and they weighed the pros and cons, and got a great place, a great location.
Yeah,
and they're a lifestyle that they're happy with.
And that's totally good.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. So, okay, I have the last one, which, because we're on number 5, right?
Well, this will be number 5.
This will be number 5, yeah. So last one is people leave Victoria because there's nothing to do after 8 o'clock.
Oh, it's not exciting enough. Like if they're active and like they're out there. If you're into outdoor activities, Vancouver Island, all over the island, it's amazing.
That part is great. But if you want to do something like nightlife wise,
theater,
I think there's some stuff here and there theater wise. But I know, I know of some people that left and specifically said, "I'm so thankful to be back in Vancouver, where there's actually something to do after 8 o'clock."
We don't really have any big league NFL or CFL that.
Yeah, you know what we do have is we don't, but Vancouver does. So by extension, we can go to these things, but it's a weekend trip.
It's not a ferry in a hotel.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like next year, we have the Grey Cup in Vancouver. So I told my daughter we're going to have to go to the Grey Cup next year. She's like, "Yeah, sounds great."
Right, but it's not.
But it's not here. It's Vancouver.
It's an hour and a half ferry ride away in a hotel.
Right.
Because you're not going to come back on the same day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Just stuff to do. How's that?
We might have the most restaurants per capita. We're the brunch capital of whatever, however that was rated. But the thing is, like, we're still a small town. Yep. If you've been to those favorite restaurants that you like, and maybe you try a new restaurant here and there, that's it. You've been to all the good restaurants now.
And some of them are actually closed at 8 o'clock.
Some of them are closed. Yeah,
some of them are closed at 5 or 6
because they're not as busy as they could be.
Right.
Right. But if you go to Vancouver, your opportunities are limitless that way.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think anybody would like really. I'll put this in perspective where I've seen it happen. I've had people move to Parksville and they move back.
Yeah, I can see that.
They are retired. They are on like the easy path.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. It's way too quiet. In their words, it's way too boring.
Sure.
There's not enough to do there.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I could see that in context, in relation. So I guess it really depends on like, what are you used to?
Yeah.
If you're used to big city, bright lights, lots of different things to do,
right,
then I could see how Victoria's really slowed down. A lot more quiet, right? So I'm from Ontario, from the Golden Horseshoe. So if we wanted to go to Niagara Falls, we'd drive really fast, 45 minutes, we'd be in Niagara Falls, right?
Sure.
If we want to go to Toronto, same thing. QEW 401, we drive really fast. We'll be in. I could be at the Terminal 1 airport in 45 minutes, unless like the Ford plant gets out or something like that, right? Then it's like 3 hours. So there's always something like an hour drive away
Right.
that we could do if we weren't happy with the steel town that we were living in.
Yeah.
So here it's like, you're going to drive an hour away
And where are you going to go to Duncan? Nanaimo?
to do what?
Yeah.
Like there is things to do, but like they're going to be shutting down
hour.
early too.
Yeah, an hour is going to get you to Duncan, I guess. Depending on where you're going from.
It's a much slower lifestyle
Yeah.
than the big cities.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get that. I can relate to that.
And some people can't make that adjustment is the point. So, so there you go. 5 reasons why people leave Victoria. So if on the flip side, you're looking to come to Victoria, because we've talked about how it's a great place to live, and it is, we're happy to help. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we can have a conversation about what you're looking at, what's out here, what's happening out here. So it's an exciting market. It's there's lots of great opportunities. So yeah.
And that'll be the next video. Reasons to come here, right?
Yeah, there you go.
If you want to get away from the hustle bustle, big city, and those kind of things, we can talk about that in the next one. And
right.
yeah, happy to hear from you. We'll catch you in the next
Okay.
video.
See ya.